we're letting people that live in darkness take everything from us. Why do we give in on these things that actually matter to us, that matter to our children, matter to our families?
It's a slippery slope. It's not this big thing that's going to happen. It's almost strategic, it almost seems like. That it's like, as long as we keep making these little wins and stacking these little wins, we're eventually going to get to where we want to be. There was a TED Talk about people being minor attracted people.
As someone that's lived that, watching them change the narrative and what that means in real time, what does that make you feel?
People are like promoting that in children and saying that we need to normalize it earlier for children. And it's just fucking bullshit, man. That's why we can't make any freaking progress or make any rational decisions. That you have maybe two things. One, you have damaged people in positions of power trying to implement their dumbass ideas, or the cancel culture thing. They're just trying to appease to whoever they can. It's mind-numbing.
It's like the conservatives almost allow this stuff to happen.
They don't even believe in this shit, and they're just doing it for the fucking paycheck. I don't care if you're 5 or you're 40. Your sexuality should not. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
Like that's the most elementary thing to be proud of. You know?
It shouldn't be your identity.
The protection of those people and the protection of these the pedophiles and all of that in general is insane. I think California is now pushing even harder on the MAP thing, you know, the minor attracted person. There was a TED Talk. There was a TED Talk about people being minor attracted people or persons, and that there's there's a psychology behind it. How does
that make you feel that they're trying to reframe the idea of minor attracted persons versus pedophilia? Like, as someone that's lived that, watching them change the narrative and what that means in real time, what does that make you feel?
Well, part of me thinks that the people that are pushing for it are damaged themselves, and that they don't want to. You see, what happened to me, when you look at, in my experience, when I look at a lot of people like me who have gone through the same shit that I've gone through, a lot of them are damaged almost beyond return to the fact that they have these outlandish beliefs, and they have these different beliefs because of what happened to them, or they may be a certain way because of what happened to them. And part of me thinks that some of these people maybe were molested or something happened to them, and that's the reason why they're trying to justify it now.
I think it's coping.
In a way, maybe. And then the other side of me is like, they're executing it. They're actively going after it. But then again, you know, America is like reality TV nation, and the more ridiculous you can be online or in your policies or whatever, the more attention you're going to get, the more it's more attractive, the more polarizing you can be, the better it is. So if I go online and I say that, you know, kids should be able to determine their sex, or they should be able to change their sex by the time they're 3 years old. They should know if they're a boy or girl, and if they want to, you know, whatever, you can mutilate them. If I go online and I advocate for that, there will be a massive amount of people that hate me. There's going to be a shit ton of people that love me because they're all like body positivity and all this other bullshit. And I think that people are doing that because they know it's going to get them attention. And as long as we feed it, they'll get it, you know? And then, you know, with the political shit, it's just a big old like playground argument.
Yeah.
It's like calling people dumb names instead of like, let's get up here on this fucking stage and figure out the problem and how we can both solve it. How can we both work together to fix this shit instead of just berating one another about dumb shit? You know, but that with what California's doing, I mean, there's no justification to that. The fact that people in California are even considering that to be reasonable, and it's not only California, but they're the ones passing laws right now, you know, then the fact that people are considering that to even be remotely close to rational thoughts, it's mind numbing. I don't even know why. I don't know why it's being entertained. I don't know why people vote for that shit. But this all comes from like the DEI stuff. You know, you give somebody an inch, they'll take a mile, and you know, you see it at the Olympics. You know, I don't know the whole situation with that, but you see it with like Riley Gaines, and when she competed against Leah Thomas or whoever the hell it was. That shit is not okay. And the reason, and like this is even a better point about Riley Gaines. People defended the fact that Leah Thomas was a supposed woman based on his or her thoughts. Goes and competes against Riley Gaines. If we would have just swept that under the rug and been like, and if everybody would have been like, DEI, yeah, good, and people can be whatever the hell they want to be, imagine where we'd be now. The fact that Riley stood up and was like, this is fucking bullshit, she potentially saved us, I don't know how many years, maybe 10, 15, 20 years before it really goes sideways. Or she potentially created that ripple against that trend, you know what I'm saying? And because of the cancel culture, if you get on stage and say whatever you agree, I had this conversation the other day about pro-choice versus life with somebody, and I told her, she said she was pro-choice, which doesn't matter to me. I said, okay, so you're a baby killer. So you're a baby killer. You enjoy seeing babies die. You like abortion, all of these things. And she said, well, no. And I said, right. And I agree. You probably don't like any of those things. But the problem with what we're talking about is if I say DEI is wrong, now I'm racist. Now I want to see all white men succeed. I want to, you know, women shouldn't be involved in anything. They need to stay in the kitchen, you know? That's what people are doing with their arguments. That's why we can't make any freaking progress or make any rational decisions. Because as a politician, if you say that children, or if you say that children shouldn't be, if they identify as something other than their assigned gender at birth, is what they're saying now, they don't, in California, they don't have to tell the parents anymore, where it used to be required that they'd have to address that.
Yeah, they just passed, I think it was Bill 1955, which says if you're having questions about sexuality, if you want to regender yourself, things like this, and the teacher finds out about it, they are not allowed to tell the parents.
Right.
That's crazy. That when I heard that as a actual law, I was like, this can't be real. Why does the state get to decide what's going on with your kid?
Well, that's, as a politician, because it's a popularity contest now, and if you go the other way, like I said, you know, you're just going to be ripped apart. So even if you don't agree with one thing, even if I say I'm pro-choice, it doesn't mean that I like to see babies die. But that's what people do, and politicians know that, you know, which is, I think that's part of the problem with a lot of the American society is we're so polarizing. We just want to jump to conclusions when somebody says something, you know, and just attack them for their thoughts and opinions and beliefs. But then not only that, but just cancel them in general. You know, if you work for a publicly traded company, don't fucking share your opinion anywhere, you know, because they don't want to hear it. You know, they have to abide by all the rules. And in fact, even child advocacy centers, even child advocacy groups to prevent sexual abuse and stuff like that, and abuse on children, they are partnering and advocating with other organizations or companies or Pride Month kind of things for children, which is like completely bullshit. If my daughter goes to school and somebody walks in that damn school and tells her she can be attracted to and she can be gay or bi or trans, I mean, first off, she'll be homeschooled. But people are like promoting that in children and saying that we need to normalize it earlier for children. And it's just fucking bullshit, man. Children do not think about sex, their sexuality. Not only that, but I don't care if you're 5 or you're 40. Your sexuality should not that's not who you are.
Yeah.
Like that's the most elementary thing to be proud of. You know,
It shouldn't be your identity.
It should not be your identity. But if you say now that we've said that, right, we've established that, now people will watch this and say, oh, he's homophobic, he's transphobic because he doesn't think that his kids, you know, my son who's 4 years old, no, he does not wear dresses in my house. That does not make me homophobic. He is a man. Men, historically, we are here to protect and serve and do the things. We are different biologically. Our psychology between men and women are different. And that's okay. It doesn't, my son is not more valuable than my daughter and vice versa, you know? But because of these hard truths, people just take them and run with them. And they'll call me a homophobic father because I don't want my son wearing a dress. If he ends up being gay, I truly don't give a shit. But that's not his identity. You know what I'm saying? It's not who he is. If he's gay or if he's straight, it's not who he is. Like, him being straight is not his identity. And I think that so much shit has happened to so many people that you have maybe two things. One, you have damaged people and put positions of power trying to implement their dumbass ideas, or the cancel culture thing. They're just trying to appease to whoever they can. Very similarly to like Kamala Harris getting votes from women because she's a woman. I mean, that's a dumbass reason to vote for somebody.
Yeah.
That's just a stupid reason to vote because she's a woman, you know? But it's the same thing with the pedophilia, with the pride stuff, you know. Keep that shit out of the schools. Keep it away from the kids, you know. Let them grow up and let them figure themselves out and go on from there. Because if you don't, the more they get involved with the government, the more it's going to get pushed into the schools, and you start getting to that minor attracted person situation.
It's like showing porn to a 5-year-old.
Yeah, it is.
It just creates this basis of how they perceive the world, how they perceive relationships, how they view sexuality. And when things start to happen, you think that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, look at there's look at like the drag things where they actively participate in trying to get children to attend these shows and events.
It's crazy.
There is a children's author in the UK. I actually posted this a while back. Children's author in the UK wrote a book, and it's getting all kinds of love. Everybody loves it, and it's about Grandpa. It's called Grandpa's like Pride Flag or Grandpa's Flag or something like that. And the story is this little girl goes to her grandpa's camper and finds this box, this chest, and she opens it up and she finds a pride flag in there. The grandpa walks in, and this is a kid's book on Amazon, marketed for ages 3 to 5. Walks in, or three and up. And the grandpa says, oh, that's my old pride flag back when we used to do marches and parades and stuff. And the little girl says, oh, can you tell me about that? And so he's like, yeah. So he starts telling her about him and his husband going through all these pride parades. And which I don't even think that part is really, I wouldn't say that's bad. I don't think it needs to be in a children's book. But anyways, the photos are what's bad. One of the first pictures in the book is a little girl and a princess, or it might be a boy, I don't know, a little boy or girl in a princess costume holding up a sign that says trans kids are magical. The next page, there is a man dressed in like black leather BDSM type shit. Like he's got like a bra on, black underwear, black boots with spikes, a spike necklace, you know, spike bracelets, all the BDSM kind of shit, you know? And I posted it and I said, this is fucking bullshit. And I said, if you think that this is right and that this should be published in a children's book and that it should be bought and read and seen, I'm sorry, you're fucking wrong. Like there's no justifying that, right? And I had people even message me, and one girl said, well, you can't say that's BDSM. I have friends that dress like that and it's not BDSM. I'm like, look. Stop trying to fucking escape from this. Like this is toxic for a child. And she said, so would you let your children wear black clothes? Yes, my children can wear black clothes. Can my son walk outside in a black leather skin tight bra and underwear? Fuck no.
With a dog collar?
With a dog collar? No. You know, and then I said this about when Caitlyn Jenner won the Asher Arthur Courage Award like 6 years ago. Caitlyn Jenner won a national recognition award for courage over a child, over a high school child, I believe, who had cancer and was trying to play their senior year of basketball through cancer. Okay. And as I sat there in my bed, I remember watching this shit, and I talked to my wife about it, and I said, there's going to be a day coming soon where I have to tell my children that it's okay that they're white and that they have two parents in their house and that nothing ever happened to them. There's going to be a day where like it's okay to be okay, or like it's okay to be this normal person. You don't have to go out and change yourself. You don't have to go out and do these outlandish things to be recognized, you know? But Caitlyn Jenner, who's got a shit ton of money, pays for a fucking sex change and is all of a sudden this courageous fucking person over a kid who played a senior year of basketball with fucking cancer.
And people on the right protect her because she's starting to turn conservative. She's starting to vote Republican. So all the Republicans are like, look at her, look how amazing she is because she's on our side. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why? It's like the conservatives almost allow this stuff to happen because all you gotta do is pander to them a little bit and be like, oh yeah, we'll give you some votes. And like, oh yeah, they're one of us. Like, dude, what happened to your values and core beliefs?
Yeah.
Why do we give in on these things that actually matter to us, that matter to our children, matter to our families, and we're willing to sacrifice so much just hoping that we get a couple more views and a couple more clicks and a couple more votes? It's so disingenuous. It's why we always lose everything. It's why we're letting people that live in darkness take everything from us because we're always pandering and giving bits away.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. What happened to people that are strong in their values? What happened to people that stand firm in what they believe and will not comply and will not give in and are that your family values are the most important thing in your life?
Yeah.
What happened to that? Why do we keep on giving in?
Weak men. Weak men. And it's the demonizing of strong men. You remove that from a household, a strong father. You remove it by either that man being incarcerated or making his own dumbass mistakes, or it's removed through the toxic masculinity kind of shit, you know? And like I said, people are going to watch this and say, like I said, I'm a homophobic and all this shit because of what I've said about that child's book, you know? But it's a slippery slope. It's not this big thing that's going to happen. You know, the United States isn't going to be like, okay, all children who are girls are now boys. They're not going to like make this like big statement in the world. It's the little rocks at a time. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to fill up this bottle. You throw one little rock or one little drop of water. It's not that much, but that one little drop of water, if you just keep dripping, it's going to fill up. And that's what's happening, right? So it's like it's almost strategic. It almost seems like that. It's like as long as we keep making these little wins and stacking these little wins, we're eventually going to get to where we want to be. Which is, like I said, you're publishing books with shit like that in it. Another good, you know, person that I like is the Turning Point USA. I forget his last name, but his name's John, I believe. But he's like the I don't know if he's doing it anymore, but he actually came out to Georgia, and I was actually at a school board meeting. I didn't even know who he was, and he was there because he was talking. What he was doing was traveling the world, going to schools, or not the world, but the states, and going to schools, finding books in their libraries and reading them aloud to the board members. And the board members are like, "No, stop! You're not allowed to say that here." And he's like, "Well, it's in your freaking library, so why the hell can I say it here?" And these books that are in like middle school libraries. One of them was talking about how to safely perform anal sex on one another and how to clean yourself to prevent diseases and all this other shit, you know? And the board members, how do they get on that board? They're elected, right? So if they say that they don't agree with that, or they don't agree with, there was another school that has a closet for trans kids, a closet where kids can go and change out their clothes because they're not allowed to dress like that leaving the house. So they can go to school, go to the trans like closet and do whatever the hell they want to do, put on what they want to put on and go back to school or go back to class, right? So
in school.
Yes. And if if the board members, the superintendents, and all that shit, if they don't pander to it, they won't be elected, right? And that, just like you're saying, they don't even believe in this shit, and they're just doing it for the fucking paycheck.
But it's not even pandering because they're actively creating a closet. So not only are they pandering and allowing it, they're actively creating it and perpetuating it.
Yeah.
Which is even more disgusting.
Yeah.